Okay, so at the end of the last video my audio cut out and I can't remember exactly what I was talking about, but it doesn't really matter. I'm still here. I had been having a think about how I was going to draw these lines, and actually I've thought again about it, and I can draw them simpler and better. I don't need circles, it's silly of me to think of that. I just need little markers on the line. In fact, I have a feeling that's how I'd initially planned it. If I did a proper plan for this program, I would need to remember that, but I didn't. So markers on the line is fine, and I can use a matrix to rotate. Also, I think I noticed a problem here. Where was there one problem? There was a problem here. Abstract. That needs to be that. Did I see a problem here? I did. This is plus S left. I did check over that last video and saw myself, I think that's S left anyway, saw myself making mistakes. So, for length snap, because these are just little marks that are going to be put along a line. Okay, I see the problem here. I see why drawing little marks along a line is a problem. It's because I'm not passing in the destination point here. Like, to draw marks along a line, I need to know the direction towards the point from the origin. I don't need to know that to draw the grid. And I don't need to know it to draw this. Oh no, I need to know it to draw this, and I need to know it to draw certain setups for the angle snapping as well. If I do pass in, I'm getting annoyed because I want to keep things, I want to make things as simple as possible, but I think I'm going to have to also pass in a position. And it's just going to have to be it's going to be a pause, it's going to be a G vector, and it's going to equal null. And for the time being, I'll have to put it in here as well. Where am I? I'll just call it G vector. I won't make use of it here just now. Comma, pause, G. Now, my other problem with this is that now it demands this G vector. Because if I allow it to demand the G vector is based on the mouse position in the window. So when the mouse, well, on the gadget specifically, so when the mouse moves off the gadget, then what happens to the guide? Does it just maintain its previous position on the gadget? You'd have to be dragging the mouse off the gadget though for that to happen. Let me think. Because those angle and length guides I don't think under these circumstances they would appear unless you're actually dragging the line. I need to think harder. Most of this, I think, is gibberish. Thanks for saving that gibberish. And am I supposed to believe this is an 1800? Okay, it is, that's fine. So what am I thinking, really? Wonder if my pen will work today. More or less. Okay, what am I thinking really? If the mouse leaves the gadget, what happens? It is sort of further complicated by the fact that that's the path. By the fact that the lines as they're drawn on the screen might not technically be the lines along which these marks would be drawn. Like, if the mouse pointer happened to be pointing at that, and the position slider was at 0, so this was the position of it, and so this was the actual setup, this was the start path point on this path, then these are the actual lines. It's very, very deceptive the way it works, but they would be drawn along here. I do remember that I had planned to draw it like this. And you could snap to there, or under strict snap to here, or under strict snapping circumstances, force both lines to a mid position. But this point is being fed, and I do have to think about that if I'm going to use this method. I have to think about that point, because it's not really the mouse pointer. It's just the point relative to the origin. And why is this a problem? Does not override any... Oh, get right. I'm such an idiot. Okay. Sorry for delays by stupidity. Probably made the same mistake here, did I? Nope, not there. This is an override. And here. Okay, so while I am going to go with this, I'm going to try and think about the pause that I send in. So really all this is going to do is draw a series of notches between the origin as stored by the snap and the position that's passed in, spaced spaces apart in this color between these sides, arranged to that matrix. This vector is going to be, well, what should I say? It's going to be assumed to be in the frame of reference of this matrix already, I think so. That's not ideal, probably. Excuse me. I can do it either way at the other end when I'm calling it, but I just don't really know which makes most sense. So, similarly to here, I do have to transform the... yeah, I have to store an O. I guess I could stick these up with the grid snap. No, I'm not going to. Oh, this is painful. This is just exactly the sort of thing that I agonize over pointlessly. Yeah, I will. No, stick them up with snap, I meant, sorry. I've realised, looking back over some of these videos, I'm constantly, like, misspeaking, and I have to try and be more careful, but anyway. Also, because of the problem I had last time around, I'm going to stick to two 15-minute chunks, so I'm going to stop in 5 minutes and start again, if the audio's okay. So, right, I have vector, transform vector, origin, transformed origin. Okay. What do I need to do here? I need to figure out the origin of this relative to the position. So I need to figure out this transformed by this. And again, I'm just in this position where I need to make space, and probably I should just be using locals, but then I think to myself, well, I've got this neat little, you know, and this is a bad name. It does mean the origin of length snap, snap class, I hate that. It does mean the origin of it, but also, I mean, I'm often considering this origin. So I should probably just change this just now and call it center. And for the sake of it, I'll try and spell center. Yeah, that's a fine spelling of center. Center equals this, center equals this, and that, and this, and this. Okay, and you two, chum. Center is this, center is this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Okay? Settle down. Now, not there, here. So, the center is better like that. And I think here I will have a global for center transformed. Try and make it just. I hate my inconsistency. But anyway, G vector. This is just my little temporary working space where I can say transform vector center to center transformed. Now I'm going to end up pushing this up as well. In fact, I'm going to, because it will also be used by angle snap. But I want something else as well, which is diff G vector equals. This I'm going to use a few times, I think, in cleaning up some things like this. Like that could be a diff. Anyway, for the time being, I'm going to say diff. It's a terrible vector class as well. This language monkey does like operator overloading, which I should definitely be using. I'm just kind of like a basic programmer or something. I will get used to doing that one of these days. X minus center transformed X, comma pause Y minus center transformed Y. I quite like seeing the things, although also I love the way it looks with operator overloading. So now diff X and Y are the distance and the direction from the center to the pause. So I will have to find the angle of that, and I'll have to find the distance of that. But let me think for a second about what I'm actually going to do with it, because I think what I'm going to do is I am going to make a temporary matrix as well, and I will build a matrix out of it. Yeah, let me think, because what I'm really needing this matrix to do is to transform a little set of points that I'm going to make. Because maybe I'm wrong in thinking this, but I just feel like it's easiest to construct a little set of points along the x-axis or something, like size distance apart, evenly above and below the axis, and then rotate that by a matrix, rotate and scale it by a matrix. Let me think for a moment. No, I think that because it is just a little row of points and they're all the same alignment, I just have to figure out a single pair of like values, which is the difference, it's the difference between the beginning and the end of the line. And then it's another couple of steps I figure out as well, so it's not bad. And for what it's worth, because I'm just drawing this little set of lines, I am just going to draw them from the beginning of the line, from the center effectively, to maybe one space past the end. So what do I need to know to do that? I do need to know, I wonder what I've got stuck inside my vector class. Probably not much. No, it's just tiny. I suppose I can method get length float. Actually, you know what? I will just bloody be a little bit good and say property length float setter. Float. I will maybe do a setter. Oh no, there's no point in that in a setter. And return, and I will just copy the sum over, because I won't bother calling another function from inside this when it is just the square root of x to the power 2 plus y to the power 2. This wow. This yeah, it should make it into a unit vector and then multiply it by a value, shouldn't it? I'm really just so simplistic at maths, and I didn't really study very hard. But if I wish I could figure out off the top of my head, and I know that anyone who knows trig properly would know how to do it so simply, and I could look up somewhere in among my other code, but I wonder if I can just look up something simple online. I'm not even going to bother just now. I will save looking things up online for not recording a video. That's 19 minutes, so I'm going to stop just now, and I'm going to start again in a sec. Okay, so I will look this up online, because it would be useful just to use that, but now I can just use g vector length, bit by bit, hopefully. Local distance float equals diff length Okay. And when I come to clean up this, because this can be cleaned up with that as well, I should do it really soon. Just make use of this. And and I made it part of Snap as well, didn't I? Yeah. Because it'll be used all over, and I could probably use a couple. Don't want to be in there yet. And also, I suppose I can stick angle into vector as well. I have other vector classes. Like I say, this came to be used through a convoluted means. Now I can have my angle class return degrees. And again, this one's not so complicated to me, but I won't code it yet. I only want to get the angle. I will code that though. I think it's important. It's very useful. Yeah, to make this into a more fully featured. Return a into y comma x times. And I'm going to use the G one here. No, I'm not. I'll do it in here. No, I won't. Being indecisive, I'm going to use the G1. 2 degrees. I'm going to use the G1. The reason is that G sort of belongs with this in a vague way, in a way that will be more sorted out later. A tan 2 yx times G 2 degrees. Okay. So angle float equals diff. Do I even need to? Yeah, I will do it this way because I know those things are having to do a little bit of work. Okay. So I know the distance and the angle from the center to the position. And what I want to do is take a series of steps. I actually want to imagine I won't bother holding on to that one. I want to imagine my center, and I'll just draw axis. Beautiful, beautiful axis. I send in somewhere there's a point, and I'll put it here. And that's the line. And here are a series of steps. And there's one beyond the end of it. And to draw the steps, I want to know this step, and I want to know this step. And I think I want to position a little cursor just here, just up, above and to the left of the center. And then if I figure out what this step is, and what this step, what the step from the center, you know, it's not like from the center to the first position, although it sort of is. That is actually the move. It's just that I'm drawing out to either side of that. I'm just trying to think about the numbers I'm storing as I traverse this little pattern, stepping along and out to either side. This is like the what's the word for this? It's the perpendicular to the line that I'm just kind of about to figure out this sine and cosine of. And is it just that you can switch sine and cosine? I forget these details of trigonometry, especially when I'm hardly ever doing it these days. That's my excuse anyway. But what I can do is I can say that local step vector, g vector, equals a new g vector with value, I'm
going to use this for now for a special reason. With value, the x and y of this is the cosine should I make my own sine and cosine functions that use degrees? Is that just like a poncy thing to do? I feel like an idiot for doing it. This is the place it should go. I'm going to do it. I feel bad and I feel foolish, but I'm going to use this quite a lot, I think. And I'm going to put it in G. G sine. Float. V float equals 0.0. Gloat. I'm putting it with G because that puts it among this set of other functions that I'm going to come back and consider. Similarly with this constant, because why am I returning a cosine from a sine? All the G things will become something else. They might become A things for to be generally used, as well as by my own GUI, which is the reason they have a G suffix just now, is because these things became GUI things. Right, am I going to regret that? Am I going to regret calling another function to make a sine cosine work? I don't think I am. Sine and cosine are called from within the matrix functions, which do use radians. I think I'm right in thinking. Like, God, it's ages since I looked at all this code. Rotate, I want to just check. Oh, there's a problem here. Yeah, no, they use degrees as well. And there's me dividing it by the rad factor rather than just multiplying by... Just for clarity, I obviously came up with multiply by 2 radians instead. But let me think. Because I'm getting bogged down now thinking about using sine and cosine, and I don't mind getting bogged down about it a little bit, thinking about making my own sine cosine thing. Somehow it's got upset. It's found an error somewhere, and that has... Because now sine and cosine are gone. Come on, guys. Oops. Okay, don't faff around with the editor. I've added them. I'll think about them later. No, I have to think about them now. I have to think about them now because do I just want to get the angle in radians? Let me think. It's like I always come up against this when I look at this code, and obviously it looks nice and readable. But, and similarly with using operator overloads, I think to myself, my own cosine function would look more readable, and it would allow me to interact with this function because it deals in angles. Or I could just make this thing deal in radians. Or I can just make angle radians. I think that's what happens. I think that is it. Yeah. And that therefore is also angle degrees. And I guess that what I'll make is sine and cosine degrees, rather than, if I ever do it. Angle radians, fine, you got me. Angle times dist. No, it doesn't. It equals times size, comma, sine angle times size. So's size. Okay, so that is how far I advance forward for one step along the line, the x and y value of that. One step along the line to bring me one sort of unit size further along it, according to the the coarseness of the snapping. Let me check my time. Well, I've just passed half an hour. This is chugging this bit because I realise, obviously, I'm just bad at maths, and I'm always in a lot of doubt about what is a good course of action, and actually I should just settle for fewer of this, more locals, so that the individual functions are more contained. Isn't that sort of sensible? It's just, I kind of like having these bits of space set aside, particularly when they're classes, and the classes can clean up, or instances of classes, like, sorry, not that, but like this. Anyway, I'm going to stop just now, but I'm going to come back and just carry on very soon.